Now, in the search for alternative energy sources for the UK, there seems to be one obvious place to look: underground. But according to one group of geoscientists, getting access to the UK's shale gas resource is at risk because of the rules governing fracking-induced earth tremors. In a joint letter, 48 of them backed calls by the fracking industry for the regulations to be reviewed. But who exactly are the signatories? This programme has discovered that many of them have links to the oil and gas industry. Our chief correspondent, Alex Thompson, has this exclusive report.
It looks like a softening up exercise on the government. Last week, Quadrilla and Ineos, the two English fracking companies, told the government that the current safety rules on earth tremors produced by fracking must be relaxed. Quadrilla's been fracking since the autumn at its Lancashire test site. That's caused more than 50 small earthquakes. A small number of the tremors have exceeded the 0.5 magnitude at which fracking was stopped for nearly a day. Last Saturday, 48 people described as geoscientists wrote to the Times demanding a review of the rules.
Sir, as practicing geoscientists working in UK universities and institutions, we recognise the potential existence of a nationally valuable and exploitable shale gas resource and support its development.
However, this programme can reveal that many of those signing this letter have in fact some ties to major oil and gas companies. For example, the letter's co-author, Professor of Petroleum Geoengineering Quentin Fisher of Leeds University, is also a director of Petroleum Leeds, whose research projects have over 40 industry sponsors. He's the primary investigator for Carbonate Fault Seal, which is funded by, among others, Petrobras, the Brazilian oil company. The other co-author of the letter is Professor Ernest Rutter. He sits on a shale gas task force which is part funded by England's biggest fracking company, Quadrilla. His department at Manchester University, like many, accepts PhD funding from major oil companies. In Manchester, Professor Rutter said he hasn't spoken to Quadrilla for 2 years. He's not paid directly or influenced by any energy company, he said.
Why wasn't that interest declared openly in the letter?
It didn't seem to be necessary to do so. As you've said, if you look at the CVs, then you can come to the conclusion that there is interface. But of course, you expect people who have worked with oil and gas companies to be the ones who are likely to know best what the situation is. And remember, all that we're doing is asking for a review.
But it's not just the two co-authors whose oil and gas connections weren't declared in the letter. Many of the 48 who signed it have industry connections. None of this was made clear.
Some of the geoscientists involved in this letter have responded to Channel 4 News. They say any implication that our judgment is impaired in any way by any connection we may have or have had with the oil and gas industry is shameful, ignorant and insulting. They say we're driven by science and by science alone, and they point out to the enormous funding down the years which the oil and gas industry has given to British universities to advance knowledge. They also say you'd be hard-pressed to find a geoscientist anywhere in the UK who hasn't had at some point some connection with the oil and gas industry.
It demonstrates how scientists and their relationship with carbon fuel extraction are becoming a key battleground in the fracking fracas. The Times letter has inflamed that debate. Moreover, it stated that all these geoscientists are working in UK universities and institutions. That is inaccurate. For example, John Bezic is director of PR Marriott Drilling Ltd, part of the largest deep onshore drilling company in the UK. Chris A. Smith works for the Dutch firm Fugro, which services the oil and gas industry. And this morning, the other co-author of the letter, Professor Quentin Fisher of Leeds University, admitted to us there are a very small number of people who haven't had an academic position who signed the letter. The scientists say, yes, they made honest omissions in their letter, but they say any suggestion of intentional wrongdoing is false, as the place of science and scientists in this heated debate on fracking goes centre stage.